Let me start by telling you a story about two young boys from a state further down south from here, from Kerala. It's many, many years ago. The older brother got a place at his school, which is 6 kilometers walk. The younger brother didn't. The younger brother would follow the older brother and sit outside the older brother's classroom window, and it was in a hut. And the older brother would hand the textbooks through the window to his younger brother. That's the only way he could start to learn. He eventually got a place at school. He was very clever, did extremely well, and got a scholarship to the London School of Economics. It took his family 1 year to raise the funds just for the travel and the clothing to get him to the UK, to the LSE. He did brilliantly, joined the Indian Foreign Service, rose right to the top, became an ambassador, and then he became the first Dalit president of India, President Narayanan, a hero of mine who I had the privilege of meeting. And that story just tells you the power of education, how it can enable somebody to get from anywhere to anywhere in life. And I want to thank at the outset Jessica Turner and her QSC Monica, all of you, for holding this fabulous event. I want to thank Dipankar Chakrabarti, our Director of India, not only India now, it's South Asia and the Middle East for the University of Birmingham, and Luke Wales, our Director of International Strategy, who are here with me as well. In Birmingham, we're a top 100 university in the QS rankings. And by the way, if I boast while I'm talking to you now, just forgive me. Because at Harvard Business School, I remember in the class once they said, you must be confident but not arrogant. You must be ambitious, but you must be humble. So you must be humbitious. So anything I boast, I say it humbitiously. Top 100, but we want to be a top 50. And the QS rankings are viewed as one of the most widely read university rankings in the world. And the theme for this could not be more appropriate: India's global vision, building universities for a knowledge economy. Now, the University of Birmingham, as a Russell Group university, that's our Ivy League in the UK, was founded by Queen Victoria in 1900. It was opened by her son, Edward VII, and was Britain's first civic university. So students from all religions, all backgrounds, on an equal basis. We've had 10 Nobel Prize winners, and my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, Squadron Leader J.D. Italia, graduated from there in 1931. My mother graduated from there in the 1950s. My uncle graduated with his PhD in the 1960s, and today I'm the first Indian-born chancellor of a Russell Group University in Great Britain of Birmingham. So this international education is so powerful, it is generations long. I went to university in the UK myself, and my children, 2 of them have already graduated from UK universities. 1 is at a UK university, and the 4th will go to a UK university as well. So every year, about 100 million people will look at the QS university rankings: students, academics, staff, graduates. I'm proud to say 17 British universities are in the top 100. But the whole theme of this conference, my wife is South African, and there's a wonderful African saying: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's what this conference is about, is going far together. And we have 8,000 international students at the University of Birmingham. We had our India's new education policy, which was announced in 2020, and it's got huge ambitions to increase the gross enrollment from 26% to 50%, to be a global knowledge superpower. Now we know the good news is it's allowing the top 500 universities in the world, including the QS rankings, to open up campuses here in India. I think this is a phenomenal opportunity because it will create enormous capacity over here in India. It's a win-win absolutely all round. and the education policy also talks about research collaboration. I think the potential for research collaboration is huge. I've seen this firsthand. At the University of Birmingham, when we do collaborative research with another university, and I will just don't use these figures. For example, if our field weighted average is 2.3, if we do research with a university in another country which is 1.7, when we do collaborative research, it's 5.2. When we do it with Harvard University, let's say they're 2.3, 2.4, we're 2, 5.4. So collaborative research is very, very powerful, and the field-weighted impact shows that. The in-country delivery, when we're able to open up campuses over here, will be absolutely amazing, because at the moment, it's 750,000 Indian students that study abroad every year. Now, many of them, if those foreign degrees are going to be available here in India, is going to be absolutely amazing. Now, universities, there's so many foreign universities here from Australia, from New Zealand, from America, from the United Kingdom, and from Singapore. How committed is a university to India? Well, I'll just use our example. We have a country director based over here, who's a regional director as well. We're opening, we've got people employed around the country, increasing the whole time, and we recruit hundreds of Indian students. In fact, we hope thousands of Indian students a year from here. We're going one step further, and I think you're the first who are going to be hearing this before I launch it officially later this week. We're going to be launching a special Chancellor's Indian Scholarship, the Lord Billimoria Chancellor's Indian Scholarship, with 4 runner-up awards as well. And the details will be announced later. And the inspiration for this is every year I give a Chancellor's Award in the UK. And the Chancellor's Award in the UK is given to a deserving student who's achieved against the odds. And I remember one year there was a girl who applied to Birmingham for medicine. We got one of the top medical schools in the UK. She didn't get in. She then went to another university, did a science degree. She didn't give up. She applied to Birmingham again, got into medicine. She got a year's exemption, and then when she graduated, she came out top of her class. And in the ceremony when I gave that award, her mother was there. And not only did she come top of her class, she did community work. She was an absolute hero in the whole university, and she got rejected the first time, and she was the first person in her family ever to go to university. And we were all in tears when she received that award. So that's the inspiration people like that give. So the educational partnerships that we have here in India are phenomenal, with Amity, with Manipur, with O.P. Jindal. In fact, we've just got our School of Law has been awarded a British Council grant to develop a joint module on business, human rights, and environment with Jindal Law School. So it's fantastic. Teacher training. You know, we talk a lot about research, and the QS Awards put a huge emphasis on research, which is absolutely right, and I've just spoken to you about it. But you know, teaching, teaching, teaching. If I ask every one of you, remember one teacher at school, you will all be able to remember one teacher who was your favorite teacher. At the University of Birmingham, we have a school, the University of Birmingham School. It's a teaching school. It's designed, each classroom, to train teachers. There are extra desks for a teacher to be there to train, and our education department is fantastic. Let me tell you the story. When I joined the House of Lords, and I've been in the House of Lords now, which is the equivalent of the Rajya Sabha here, for 16 and a half years. When I joined, I was the 3rd youngest peer in the House of Lords. I'm still one of the younger peers in the House of Lords. Our average age is 70, a lot of wisdom there. So one of my heroes in the House of Lords is Lord Martin Rees, the Astronomer Royal, the former Master of Trinity College, Cambridge, the former President of the Royal Society, the preeminent scientists organization. You get the FRS letters after your name. And he said, Karan, when he was President of the Royal Society, he said, I need your help. We're giving the King Charles Medal, and it's only been given to one person before. It can be only given to a head of state or a former head of state who's a scientist. And we've given it to the Emperor of Japan. We're going to give it to President Abdul Kalam. And I said, absolutely. I've met him. He's a great man. So we went to the Royal Society, and before the award ceremony, they laid out an exhibition for Dr. Abdul Kalam, including Isaac Newton's workings and notes. And Isaac Newton is a former president of the Royal Society. As we were walking around, I'd met him before, so I just said, Mr. President, where did it all start for you? He stopped. The whole entourage stopped. And he said, Karan, it started for me when I was a young boy in Rameshwaram. I came from a very poor family, and I went to the local school, and I had a really good teacher. And at the age of 11, on the blackboard, he drew the picture of a bird, and he explained the concept of flight. And I was mesmerized. I wanted to know more about flight. I wanted to know more about physics. I wanted to know more about science. What did he do? He studied science. He became a rocket scientist. He headed India's space program. And he ended up being the most popular president of India ever. And it started with one teacher. So never let's forget the power of teaching. Employability. QS rankings, again, very, very firm on, well, education is great, but are you going to get a job after it? And at Birmingham, we're very proud we've got one of the highest employability ratings, I say ambitiously, in the UK. I'm going to ask you all a question here. No right or wrong answer, and I ask this question around the world, so please, this is not right or wrong. How many of you think you're creative? If you think you're creative, put your hand up. If you think you're not creative, leave your hand down. There's no right or wrong, I just want to see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So when I ask this question around the world, on average, half the hands go up, half the hands stay down. And the reason I ask this question is very simple. My mother, who lives in Dehradun, in her cabinet of all the china and pottery that she's collected from around the world, beautiful china, beautiful pottery, in the middle of that is a pottery angel. It's the ugliest angel you've seen in your life, made by me as a boy. Karan, you're doing well academically, keep going, but you're not creative. I was useless at art. I was forced to learn to play the piano. I passed grade 1. Please give up, spare us, you're tone deaf, you're not creative. So I literally grew up through my schooling, through my university, being told and believing I was not creative. And it's only when I started my business, I became an entrepreneur, I founded Cobra Beer, which I'm proud to say is a household name in the UK, export to about 40 countries, I realized I'm actually very, very creative. And it's the most important skill of being an entrepreneur and one of the most important skills in life. So if only we could encourage our children around the world from a young age to have that confidence, to unleash that creative spirit that lies amongst every child on this planet. I tell you, the GDP of this world would quadruple, and we need to encourage that. And innovation and creativity is absolutely key, and that seems to be a theme of this conference. Lifelong learning. I practice what I preach. I'm an alumnus of 3 business schools, which the last one I graduated from was not that long ago. The Cranfield, London Business School, Harvard Business School. The learning never stops. And one of my favorite sayings of Mahatma Gandhi is, live as if you're going to die tomorrow. Learn as if you're going to live forever. And lifelong learning, again, has come through in this conference, and it's really, really important. Interdisciplinary collaboration. That's something I've also heard spoken about. Again, I was privileged to chair the Tigris program at Cambridge University, which was the second green revolution here in India. And you know what? That was not just one of the world's leading plant scientists, Professor Howard Griffiths, who was leading it. The reason it works so well, and now millets, for example, it's just been an amazingly beneficial for just a few £1 million over a period of 6 or 7 years. And the reason it was so successful is we had plant scientists, archaeologists, anthropologists, different disciplines coming together to work on increasing crop yield. Now, just on a very serious note, the origin of universities in the West go back to medieval Europe. Bologna, I've been there, the oldest university in Europe, and of course Oxford. And it was all about sharing research and knowledge. And education in the earliest times was people meeting together and sharing research. So Nalanda University, by the way, was closing down when Oxford was opening up. So, I mean, India's been ahead of the game by centuries. So all this AI, ChatGPT, nothing can beat people getting together in the way that we're all together now. And on that note, I'm proud, again, you're hearing this over here. I'm flying to Madras this afternoon, to Chennai, and the University of Birmingham and IIT Madras are launching a joint master's program. So students will get a degree, they'll study at both institutions, and they'll get a degree from the University of Birmingham and the university from IIT Madras. And my dream is that not so far from now, we'll have a physical campus of IIT Madras within Birmingham University on British soil in the middle of the UK. Now, it's all very well students going that way. What about British students coming here? What about international students coming to India? And I was privileged to host Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh when they inaugurated our world-class dental school at the University of Birmingham. And one example is we have our dental students volunteering with the charity Satya Samaj UK, providing medical and dental aid to underprivileged people in the Rishikesh region near where my mother lives. And the Turing scheme, we've had over 100 students studying in India as well. So this is fantastic. How many of you here, can I just see a show of hands, know that the University of Birmingham has opened up a campus in Dubai? Can I just see how many people know that? Okay. Well, now you all know it. We are the first Russell Group university to open up in Dubai, and it's a beautiful, state-of-the-art, AI-enabled campus opened by the Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan last year, which will eventually be able to house 4,500 students. And the good news is in the first year alone, 66 nationalities. Who's the number one of those? India. Now, finally, before I conclude, I just want to talk about initiatives like the India Institute that Yash Sinha, the former High Commissioner, and I launched at the University of Birmingham. And it's been amazing. We've got 40 research collaborations at any one time in India: clean water, clean cooling, plastic rivers, women's cancer, arthritis, global surgical research. Do you know this? More patients die after surgery than from HIV, TB, and malaria combined, especially in low and middle income countries, and we're addressing that. Railways. Our railway department was one of the best in the world. When we won a Queen's Award a few years ago, I remember in Buckingham Palace, the Queen and then Prince Charles, now King Charles, they're walking around congratulating the winners. And when Prince Charles came to us, he met the head of our railway department who'd won the prize. And I joked and I said, "Sir, Professor Clive Roberts he's developing a hydrogen-powered train. It's in the laboratory at the moment, but one day we will power the royal train by hydrogen." And we all laughed. Fast forward a few years, at COP26 in Glasgow, year before last, we had the world's first retrofitted hydrogen-powered train developed by the University of Birmingham, and Prince Charles was on that train. So that was an example of business, university, and government working together for world-beating innovation. Sports and science. At the Commonwealth Games, we played a bigger part than any universities played in any games, whether it's Olympic or Asian or Commonwealth, anywhere in the world. We had the baton relay that the Queen handed over. We sponsored the games. We had hockey and squash on our campus. We had the Athletes Village on our campus. And we're one of the ranked number 6 in the world for sports science. Here, you've heard this here first, released just now, an India network to launch life-saving colon cancer. So research that we've done shows that if you give colon cancer patients chemotherapy before surgery, it cuts the risk of their disease coming back, developed at the University of Birmingham. So there is just so much we're doing. And finally, I conclude with this. How many of you have heard of UCARI, the UK-India Research Initiative, which went to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? Can I see a show of hands? Fantastic. You know, it stopped. It stopped. I mean, what madness is that? I say to the British government, I say to the Indian government, bring back UCARI. It cost £6.5 million. I was a member of the UK-India Roundtable. We launched this initiative. And let's bring it back with business involved as well. So each project has 2 universities, one in the UK, one in India, and a business from UK and India sponsoring it as well. And let's see the innovation that comes out of it. The Young Professional Scheme, 3,000 young Indians and from the UK can live and work in each other's country. That's great news. And finally, as the co-chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on International Students, I brought out a report in 2018 saying to the British government, have a target for international students. They listened, target of 600,000. We beat that target in the middle of the pandemic. Now we're at 690,000. And wait for this. Do you know who's number one now? Not the Chinese. Indian students are the number one international students into the UK. And here's the second recommendation. Bring back the 2-year post-graduation work visa, which I introduced in Parliament in 2007, 2008. I pushed for it, got cross-party support. It was taken away in 2011-12. Boris Johnson brought it back year before last. The result of that is phenomenal, and I know that as a former international student. All this talk and rumors that you're hearing from certain government ministers in the UK saying they're going to reduce the 2 years, forget it. They've got to keep the 2-year post-graduation work visa. It is brilliant for international students, including for Indian students. So I send that message out to the UK government from here, from Goa. Keep the 2-year post-graduation work visa. So I conclude with this. The UK, tiny country, less than 1% of the 8 billion people on this planet, has 4 out of the top 10 universities in the QS ranking, 17 out of the top 100, 16% of the world's leading research papers. There are more world leaders who've been educated at British universities than any other country in the world, along with the United States. Just look at India, four prime ministers from Oxford and Cambridge alone. Nobel Prizes, Cambridge and Harvard have won more Nobel Prizes than any other universities in the world. Trinity College, Cambridge, one college has 34 Nobel Prizes. That is the power of the United Kingdom. And finally, in India, the relationship between the UK and India, the theme of this conference of India and the world, I spoke in a debate on the 19th of January in the House of Lords on the importance of the relationship between the UK and India, and I concluded the debate with the following words, and I conclude with this. I said, to conclude, as a boy, Narendra Modi sold tea at his father's tea stall at a railway station in Gujarat. Today, he is one of the most powerful people on this planet as Prime Minister of India. Today, India has the presidency of the G20. Today, India has a vision to become, in the next 25 years, the second largest economy in the world with a GDP of $32 trillion. The Indian Express has left the station. It is now the fastest train in the world, the fastest growing major economy in the world. The UK must be its closest and most trusted friend and partner in the decades ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you.